Andre the Giant was remembered not only for his unmatched size, but also for his legendary feats, including the staggering ability to consume 7,000 calories worth of alcohol in a single night. His life was larger than life in every sense of the phrase, but behind the spectacle was a man with growing health issues that he famously refused to address through medical help. He feared that accepting such help might bring his career to an end, and so Andre lived entirely on his own terms. That sense of independence carried him through his entire life, right up until his passing in 1993. When he died, the world's eyes turned not just to the memories he left behind, but also to his mysterious daughter, Robin Christensen Rousimorph. Those who knew Andre backstage often spoke with genuine affection about his kindness, calling him the true gentle giant. Yet now, a question lingered in the minds of wrestling fans and the public alike. Could Robin carry on his colossal legacy, or might she, in her own way, be even bigger than the giant himself? The truth, as it turns out, may surprise you. Andre the Giant, born André René Rousimov on May 19, 1946, in Grenoble, France, was far more than just a massive presence in professional wrestling. His life was shaped by a rare medical condition, early physical hardship, and an unshakable determination to rise above his humble rural beginnings. At birth, he already weighed a remarkable 13 pounds. His parents, however, were of entirely average height. His mother stood at 5 feet 2 inches, and his father at 6 feet 2 inches. Yet Andre began growing rapidly from an early age. By the age of 12, he had already reached 6 feet 3 inches. By 17, he had grown to 6 feet 7 inches, and eventually he would top out at over 7 feet tall, weighing more than 500 pounds. His size was the result of a rare hormonal disorder called acromegaly, caused by the excessive production of human growth hormone. This condition leads to the continuous growth of bones and tissues, and when it begins in childhood, it often results in gigantism. Despite this underlying medical challenge, Andre led a fairly normal early life. He began school at 6 years old and excelled academically, particularly in mathematics and sports. His exceptional size made him a natural goalkeeper in soccer, and by the time he was 10 years old, already 6 feet tall, it became nearly impossible for opponents to score against him. However, Andre's formal education was cut short. It wasn't due to poor academic performance, but because his father needed help on the family farm. At age 14, which was legal under French law at the time, Andre left school and began working full-time. His enormous strength allowed him to do the work of several men, but deep down, he grew restless. Farming wasn't his dream, and he longed for something more. It was around this time that Andre discovered professional wrestling, a world where his unique size could be admired rather than seen as a burden. At the age of 18, Andre moved to Paris. His exceptional physical presence immediately attracted attention. He was discovered by local wrestling promoter Robert Laguitte, who saw enormous commercial promise in him. Supporting himself as a mover by day and training as a wrestler by night, Andre began his wrestling career under the name Jean Ferret, inspired by a legendary French figure. In 1966, Canadian wrestler and promoter Frank Valois became his advisor and manager, helping Andre expand his career beyond France. His televised debut came in a match against Luppy the Prince, and soon audiences across Europe were captivated. His fame exploded globally in the 1970s, and even more so in the 1980s when he joined the World Wrestling Federation, now WWE, and earned the nickname the Eighth Wonder of the World. Fans, both children and adults, marveled at his size and surprising agility in the ring. Yet behind the fame lay a complex man coping with a misunderstood and poorly managed medical condition. Andre had begun experiencing an abnormal growth spurt around the age of 14, but doctors did not identify acromegaly until much later. By the time he was officially diagnosed in 1981, after breaking his ankle, the damage had already been done. His hands, feet, and head had grown to extreme proportions. He wore size 22 shoes, and everyday objects looked like toys in his massive hands. His condition made everyday life a constant challenge. Using a rotary phone required dialing with a pencil because his fingers were too large. Air travel was pure agony. He wrestled nearly 300 days a year but couldn't fit in airplane lavatories, resorting instead to using a bucket to relieve himself. Regular cars cramped his frame, forcing him to ride long distances in constant discomfort. Perhaps most tragically, Andre was unaware of the true nature of his condition for many years. Although it is believed he was first diagnosed in Japan in 1971, it wasn't confirmed until a full decade later. Treatments existed that could help manage acromegaly, but they could not reverse its effects. By then, Andre had accepted his fate. His story is not merely one of physical size or wrestling fame, it is one of resilience, pain, loneliness, and strength. His legacy lives on not just in the ring, but also in the hearts of those who knew him as more than a mythical figure. Andre the Giant was a man who stood tall both literally and figuratively in a world too small to contain him. Andre's immense presence in wrestling masked the reality of a medical condition that remained hidden for years. Acromegaly, the disorder that caused abnormal growth in his bones, tissues, and even internal organs, shaped his career in ways both obvious and unseen. His entry into professional wrestling was largely driven by his extreme physical dimensions. Weighing around 540 pounds and having hands nearly twice the size of an average adult's, Andre could perform tasks with ease that others found difficult. Despite his incredible size, he competed fairly under heavyweight wrestling rules and rapidly became a national sensation. He remained undefeated for years, not solely because of his skill, but because injuring him was virtually impossible. Many matches required 2 or 3 opponents just to pose a real challenge. During the 1970s and 1980s, his popularity skyrocketed, making him one of the most recognized figures in the wrestling world. But acromegaly came at a cost. It causes enlargement of the hands, feet, jaw, and internal organs, often bringing chronic pain, mobility problems, and a shortened life expectancy, typically only 40 to 45 years. Despite these challenges, Andre wrestled for decades. He avoided intense workouts because his size alone gave him a natural advantage. Outside the ring, he became famous for his staggering alcohol consumption, reportedly able to drink more than 100 beers in one sitting. Yet beneath the spectacle was a man yearning for normalcy. In his own words, "It's not my fault being the biggest and the strongest. I don't even exercise." As the years passed, Andre's body began to fail him. His knees and back, burdened by his enormous frame, deteriorated. He eventually required knee surgery just to keep performing, but even that couldn't halt the pain. Still, he continued for the sake of his fans. By 1992, his health had declined to the point where he officially retired. The 1980s had marked the peak of his fame. He had earned millions and transitioned into acting, most notably playing Fezzik in the cult classic film The Princess Bride, where his gentle nature left a lasting global impression. Tragically, complications from acromegaly would cut his life short. Yet his legacy included one of wrestling's most iconic moments, WrestleMania 3, held on March 29, 1987, at the Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan, where more than 93,000 fans gathered to see his epic showdown with Hulk Hogan. Once allies, Andre had turned against Hogan, setting the stage for a dramatic clash. The physical contrast was striking, Andre at 7 feet 4 inches and 540 pounds against Hogan's 6 feet 7 inches and 300 pounds. Despite his intimidating presence, Andre often felt alienated in public. He was stared at, photographed without consent, and approached by people fascinated more by his size than his humanity. In interviews, he expressed frustration that many treated him as a novelty instead of a person. Still, his reputation for alcohol consumption continued to grow, with tales, never fully verified, of him drinking 100 beers or 20 bottles of wine in one sitting. That night at WrestleMania, the match began with failed attempts by Hogan to lift Andre. But eventually, after hulking up and drawing energy from the roaring crowd, Hogan did the impossible. He lifted Andre off the mat and body slammed him, then delivered his signature leg drop for the win. The crowd erupted in disbelief and celebration. That moment became a landmark in wrestling history, not only for its display of strength, but also as a symbolic passing of the torch. WrestleMania 3 cemented both Hogan's and Andre's places in pop culture lore. Sadly, just 6 years later, Andre would pass away at the age of 46 while visiting France. His death did not end his story, however. In 1979, his daughter Robin Christensen Rousemorf was born to Jean Christensen, a woman Andre had met in the early 1970s when she worked for WWE. Their relationship was brief, and what followed was a lengthy legal battle to ensure Andre supported his daughter financially. Robin only met her father a handful of times as a child, as his constant travel and strained relationship with Jean kept them apart. Jean and Robin once appeared on the television program A Current Affair, where Jean recounted her first meeting with Andre and the challenges that followed. During her pregnancy, Andre reportedly believed he was physically incapable of having children, leading him to initially doubt whether Robin was his daughter. But a court-ordered blood test in 1981 confirmed paternity, and Andre was ordered to pay between $750 and $1,000 per month in child support. Jean claimed that it wasn't Andre himself who resisted supporting Robin, but rather his management team, who tightly controlled his finances. Andre's demanding travel schedule and his strained relationship with Jean made meaningful contact with Robin difficult. According to The Eighth Wonder of the World by Bertrand Heber and Pat Laprade, phone conversations between Andre and Robin often dissolved into arguments between Andre and Jean. While Andre wanted to see his daughter, he hoped to do so without her mother's involvement. Robin, understandably wary, did not feel comfortable visiting him alone. Both parents agreed that the chaotic world of professional wrestling was not suitable for a child. Following Andre's death, Robin inherited part of his estate and gained exclusive rights to his name and likeness, making her responsible for preserving his legacy. Though she never pursued wrestling herself, she carefully ensured that any project involving her father honored his memory. The relationship between Andre and Robin was defined more by absence than by connection. His WWF travel schedule kept him away for more than 300 days a year. Their meetings were rare, and most of their contact happened in courtrooms rather than at family gatherings. Still, Andre cared deeply for her, even if he struggled to express it. Jean, wanting Robin to have a normal life, raised her away from the public eye. Andre never abandoned his responsibilities, ensuring Robin always had a way to contact him. Sadly, by the time a deeper connection seemed possible, Andre's health was failing rapidly. Robin stands about 6 feet tall and weighs roughly 220 pounds, but she never approached her father's size, which was not genetic but caused by acromegaly. She has publicly debunked rumors that she outgrew him. While she shares some of his facial features, she did not inherit his physical scale or strength. After his death, Robin chose to honor him by attending wrestling conventions, meeting fans, and consulting on documentaries. She gained insight into his impact through the heartfelt stories of those he inspired. She also worked to ensure his life was portrayed truthfully in books and films, and even helped establish the Andre the Giant Memorial Scholarship Fund to support young performers. Robin's dedication to her father's memory is not rooted in fame, but in love. She serves as the bridge between Andre's massive public image and the private man she knew. Her efforts ensure that future generations will remember Andre not just as a wrestling legend, but as a complex human being who faced pain, isolation, and responsibility with courage.